Good evening, folks. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Thursday. Wow. October 15, 2020. I hope your day's doing well. I'm just lying here cozy in my bed, and I have my furry friends with me. And, oh, what else? Yeah, I hope your day went well. And I want to talk about a few things. I wrote like a little list of things that I wanted to discuss. Let's see, where to begin now? Well, I want to talk about my day. I took my time today, and yeah, I just wanted to get out of the apartment, and so I initially went out by myself. I kept my dogs here. I was out for a couple of hours, and then I later on took my dogs out, and they really seemed to enjoy that. I want to talk about my experiences when I went out today, and let me see here. Um, yeah, I want to talk about I live in this city, New York City. Yeah, so good evening, viewer. Good evening. Yeah, say hello in the chat room and uh, press the like button if you may. Yeah, I want to talk about my day, things that I experienced, and it'd be great to get your feedback, what you would have done or what's happening in your part of town. Yeah, I had to get, yeah, I needed to get out. I was feeling a little tense, and I said, let me just go to the store and I make necklaces for myself. And I also make necklaces from the large acorn seeds. I've made them in the past. And I wanted to get this device. It's something to, like, I have what's called a Dremel. It's a drill. But, some of the seeds are kind of slippery, and uh, the drill could hit your fingers, and so that's a danger. So I wanted to find a solution to everything, and so I had to go to the uh, it's called the Diamond District, and I want to talk to you about these experiences there. Well, it's a really weird experience when you go to the Diamond District. The Diamond District is on 47th Street, and it begins like between 6th Avenue and 5th Avenue in Manhattan. So that's where I had to go. It's usually very, very busy. It was pretty busy. In front of the stores are a lot of men, mostly men, and they, if you're walking down, most of the time they ask you, oh, you want to sell gold or yeah, you say selling gold. Um, I said, I usually just ignore them. Sometimes I just say no. Um, so I went to two stores. The first store I went to, very pleasant. You have to wear your mask. Yeah, you wear your mask. Um, and I almost bought this drill and this other device for it. But I saw that on it, it required that to use this device to hold, like to use this drill, um, this machine, the device has to be um, screwed in, to prevent it from wobbling. And yeah, because I was just about to pay, and then I noticed that it required it to be uh, screwed down, and so I didn't get it. But he recommended another store that I could possibly check, for some other things I needed to purchase. So what they call findings in jewelry making. And so I went there, and this was interesting, that experience. It's really weird. Now, I think I was just appropriate. I was by myself, and I needed to get these findings, like these um, pliers, special pliers for these rings. And so you had to like press a button, and then uh, someone comes to the door to open it. It wasn't packed at all. It was just a little bit of people, and the person that opened, he says, "Oh, someone will be with you in a moment." They're pleasant, and he repeated it twice. I think he had come back and said, "Oh, someone will be with you." So I said, "Thank you," and I was just kind of like browsing a little bit, and then the same individual approached me again, and he said, "Oh, how may I help you?" So I said, "Aren't you the same person that opened the door for me?" So he said, "Yes." So I was kind of like thrown. I felt a little confused, like, because how he approached me, as if he never saw me before. That's how I took it. So I just said, "Well, I have a project," and that's how I started. I have a project, and I need what do you call it? I need something to hold this device. We're gonna making necklaces and um, blah blah blah. And he didn't have something for that. So I said, okay. Um, then I wanted to see some of the findings to make the jewelry. And he showed me a piece, and I thought it was too expensive for me. And he didn't have any other types there. Um, so it's okay. I won't get this at this time. I told him something like that I wouldn't be getting that. And I said, okay, the last thing I need these pliers. So the I needed the pliers for the rings, but he wasn't really sure what I was talking about. And so he said the only pliers that we have there are against the wall. So which one are the one that you're referring to? I asked him. So he kind of pointed, and I said, okay. I said, yeah, that wouldn't do, because I have something like that. Yeah, there's a special device, a special type of plier for this purpose. And but I felt at this time that I felt almost like he was kind of like brushing me off, like what we have is just what's on the wall, and just get anything you see there. That's it, you know. But I felt like he was brushing me off, and he didn't have the knowledge base for what I needed. So I said to him, "Yeah, so good evening, good evening. Yeah, I'm just talking about my experiences today." Okay. So I said to him, I said, "Well, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe there's somebody else that knows what I'm talking about, because there is a device, and it's for such and such." And then I said, could I talk to someone who would know, Or do you have someone who would know? And when I said that, guess what? Everybody looks up and looks towards me. And I thought it was funny. Now, I spoke in, how I'm speaking now, in a even, soft voice. Um, and, it's just at this point, like, you ever go to a store and you sense that they really don't want to deal with you. They don't really know what you're talking about. They don't care to know what you're talking about. Just get anything over there. I don't really ask me any more questions. They really don't want to do business with you. That's how I felt at that point. You know. Um, but I think my instincts were correct. Now he did greet me at the door. Open the door for me. And I think also why I came to the conclusion that he really wasn't interested in helping me was because, see, if you were able to, he wasn't helping anybody that I could see. I assumed that he was just like an assistant, um, to open the door or whatever, um, and everybody else was being serviced. Um, and so what changed when he approached it's almost like um, they didn't want me to look around in the store. I wasn't touching anything. I was just in the very front, the display of the different type of pliers, and that was it, and I was waiting. So what happened from the time him open the door and that someone will be with me, and then but now he's the one that's to help me. But it was just something that I sensed, and that kind of confused me a little bit in my spirit, if that makes sense. On the surface, very innocent what happened, but it's the point when about the um, special plier for the little rings, like when you're attaching a necklace on. It's a common device that's used, and this is the jewelry district, and this is where jewelry is made. They should have something like this, and for him to not know about it, you know, it's making me feel that you don't know your industry, yet you're selling tools for jewelry making. Um, and so when he's he said, well, I don't really know what I I don't want to really. When someone said, well, I don't know what you're talking about, and but yet it's the industry, and you should know, then you sound ignorant to me. I mean, he was never like rude or never said any bad words, whatever. He never raised his voice at me, but I felt a little impatient with him at this point because I felt like, don't ask me anymore. Just look what's on the against the wall, what I was already looking at before he approached me, or just leave. That's how he came across to me. That's how I felt. And so I politely said, well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, could you please bring someone over that does? And everybody, it was just so funny, like 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 they were on cue. Everybody looked up, the people that worked there and the clients. They all looked up at that instant and stared at me. Then that's when I felt. See, they didn't want me to ask. I picked up that he didn't want to help me, and they wanted me to leave. That's how I felt. And so when everybody kind of looked up and stared at me, no one said anything. And so I said, please get someone that might know. So he walks, he says, he walks away from me, and then he brings over this guy. Uh, and then it was an older guy. He walks up to me. I said, hello. And I told him. And I'm sure, they were listening to our conversation. They heard what I was talking about, but they didn't, want to come over to help. So the guy said, oh, we don't sell anything like that here. I said, okay, thank you very much. And then I left. But I see that gave me a nasty taste in my mouth. And, I was pleasant. I said, thank you for your help, and you all have a very good week. And then I walked out. But it's how I felt. And someone might say, what does racism taste like? Okay, what does it smell like? See, sometimes with racism or sexism, when you feel there's something wrong, when there's something a bias, it's it's something that doesn't sit right. And under normal circumstances, it shouldn't make a difference about something, but I sensed there was like they didn't want to help. And that's why when I said, well, why don't you bring someone over who does know? See, they didn't expect that. They wanted me to leave. That's how I felt. And their response to my request, I requested, then bring someone who does know. That would make a lot, doesn't that make sense? If you don't know what I'm talking about, and you're in the jewelry district, the heart of jewelry and tool supplies, okay? You sell jewelry supplies, and you don't know what I'm talking about. So, it's like a wall. They don't want to find out for you. They don't want to waste, they don't want to spend time. Okay? So when I left, my mind started to race. I said, don't waste your thoughts on negativity. So I had to keep telling myself that. So that was an incident that happened, you know. But I think that as time went on, uh, how things are, what things are happening in New York City. Well, I left that store. I said, let me go in this other district where you have, we have in New York City people who make necklaces, out of beads. So I said, let me go there. They were closed. I went there a couple of weeks ago, and they were still closed. I said, hey, maybe by chance it might be open now. So I walked to that district. Mm, that's on like 38, let's see, around 39th Street, around between 5th and 6th Avenue. Yes, so I walked from 47th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. Then I went on 5th Avenue to, which was 47th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. And then I walked to 5th Avenue on 49th Street, around, around there. And guess what? The store's closed. I can't believe this. Yeah, I felt, it's been there for years. Yeah, they had several bead stores. Stores where, you could make beautiful necklaces and they have findings and tools to do it all. It completely closed out. Everything was removed from the store and the buildings are for rent. And it made me think. It I found it upsetting, um, because they were great stores, and it gave me an outlet. It made me feel like these craft stores. It made me feel like um, something to connect with. Things could be very stressful in New York City, and sometimes what I do when I get really stressed out, I need to rechannel my energy. And so what I do, I'm just turning the camera. So what I do, I make things. So sometimes I do the necklaces. Uh, about 2 weeks ago, I made a bonnet, a satin bonnet, satin on the inside and outside, a jumbo one. I have it on right now. Yeah. Um, so to see that the whole industry left. I mean, a whole industry. The beatings, I mean, it was always. I mean, it never really had a lot of people in it. Um, but it's been there for years. See, this this COVID is what's behind all this. Okay, I'm just crossing out as I talk about the incidences. Yeah, COVID is a curse. This COVID 19, I feel, was manufactured. It's something that was designed to destroy our economy. See, when you look at something, when something is introduced, you then see what was the impact. And the impact initially was fear. Produce fear in the public. And then with that fear, require the masks, even though the mask and the mask alone does not prevent COVID 19 disease or ailments. It doesn't protect from it, it doesn't protect you against it. But yet they want you to wear the mask. And one thing with the masks, it produces high levels. When you wear a mask all day, it produces high level of CO2 in your blood system, and that can cause ailments. They're requiring so many, like, these real anal things. Like when I went into these buildings today, uh, the elevators they have, like I have in New York City. I was going to take pictures of it, but they have, like, in the elevator, they have these stick-ons, like it's like the pictures of 2 feet, and then these stickers are placed strategically in the elevator. I might have said elevator. I mean, escalator. No, if I said escalator, I didn't mean to say escalator. I meant to say elevator. If I did not say that correctly the first time. Yeah, but the elevator had that in there, and then some places they require you to get a thermal test. So this is a device. You put your face, at least some of them, you put your face right next to, in front of this machine, and it reads your temperature. But your whole brain, your whole head and your eyes is, and the light is being emitted from this machine. How do you know this thing is not going to cause cancer? Okay? I'm concerned about that. So it's just getting too mechanical. This COVID, it's making people very rigid. It's making people robot. That's what I mean, robotic. No humanity. You're like a robot. You have a mask, so you can't see your smile. But the mask I have the plastic one, so you can see through it. You can see the person's mouth, and I have an eye shield. I wore both, eye shield with the nose and mouth covered. It's just people are becoming like robots. People aren't being really as social. The ones that have the mask on are like robots. Um, the restaurants in New York City, uh, they some of the restaurants are allowing customers in, but they have uh, each table has like a shield, a see-through transparent shield, and this supposed to, I guess, prevent um, the people next to you from the spit or whatever to move from one table to another. Um, I mean the idea behind it sounds okay, but it's isolating people. It's isolating. It's separating, and it's making me feel uncomfortable. And to you have to you have to stand on this spot 6 inches. You go to a lot of stores, they give you those little stickers that they put on the floor, because they don't want people next to each other. Now, I just feel like okay, this thing is a cold or flu type thing, and New York for you know you get colds and flus. So I'm confused about why, if this is like a cold and flu in all these past years, and people died from the flu and colds, so what makes this different? It didn't require people wearing masks or those stickers on the floor with the little footprint for you to step on. I feel it's to mentally it's to enslave you that you this is a new type of slavery. You better do this or else, or I'm not going to service you. That's how it's turning out to me. So you become robotic, and I fear that they're going to be imposing more and more restrictions, but using COVID-19 as an excuse. Now, President Trump was said to test positive, and he did start to feel uncomfortable. There was some problems in his lungs, and he felt kind of icky. And they immediately treated him. Okay, I'm glad that he's better. No, I don't want anybody sick. Um, I just don't know about this. Yeah, let me see here. Um, I'm just looking at my list here. Okay, I want to talk about, well, there was a town hall meeting today with President Trump. It was to be a debate with both Biden and Trump, but they oh, hold, it could have been Trump that said no. Like, someone didn't want to do a particular thing, um, but it wound out that Biden is doing his own town hall and Trump is doing his own town hall. And some of the people they I thought it was a little biased. The person who's interviewing Trump. But I had a question about something. Um, the town hall was in Florida, some town in Florida, and a black woman. In fact, all the people that spoke were all female, and that was interesting. Why is a town hall meeting? Why are they all females? And they were all relatively young. And it started not too, what time did it start? I think it started around 6 o'clock. By the time I saw it, it was 2 hours over. It could have started around 6 o'clock. Um, but the person said that the woman said that she said, I'm a woman of color, and I have sons and I have to teach them, for the safety, what to do so they won't be racially profiled and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about that. See, I mean, I've used that expression before, people of color or person of color. But I started thinking, okay, are people of color being racially profiled? That is my question. And the answer is my response, not my answer. My response is this. Well, if people of color have a concern about being racially profiled, what color are being profiled? Okay, I'm going to repeat that. If people of color are being racially profiled, which color or colors are being racially profiled? Why do I say that? Because people of color are not being racially profiled. And you said, some of you might be gasping, like, what do you mean? Well, you have to you have to say it another way. Black people are being racially profiled, and people of the African diaspora and people who are who were here at the time of Columbus. Okay, the people of those descendants. Those other groups are being racially profiled. So black people, and you do have some black people who claim that they were here at the time of Columbus. So if that is the case, they would be classified as Indian, right? So people of American Indian background, you find um, whether English speaking or Spanish speaking, that these groups may be profiled. But I find in New York City that a lot of, like, I've gone to stores, I've gone to banks, and I've mentioned this several times in the past that I had been, whether you call it racially profiled or a bias incident that happened to me. But it's not white people who are that did that to me in the past. I mean, today's incident, I mean, they let me in, but they didn't want to go any further with the pliers. But besides today, um, when I went to an establishment, I find that when I feel that I'm being like observed, or they might walk past you to intimidate you. You know who's doing that to me? black people slash people of color slash Hispanics are racially profiling me, or whatever what you want to call it. And how you feel when that happens, you start to feel angry, frustrated, and you just want to be left alone. See, I used to be in security, so I know that, you're there to do a job. But I feel that sometimes, like, maybe the person is, what I'm thinking is, they want to feel that they want to prove to the boss that they're there to do a job. Or maybe they feel that their boss re- requires them to do this to you. That could be what's happening. I don't know. One time when it happened to me with this security guard, and I was going to this store for the past, it might have been 10 years or more. And I was angry. So I never seen that particular security guard before. So when I got home, I called that store. And the store said to me, when I told them, they were very apologetic. And they said, we're going to remove that person immediately. They said, the person is new on the job. Thank you for letting us know, and we're going to remove him. And yeah, I never saw him again. Okay. Another time when it happened, the person that I spoke to uh, was a South Asian man. The manager was South Asian, and the person that I thought was racially profiling me was a young black fellow. They took it seriously, my complaint, and I told us I've been coming here for over 10 years. And then another time I was in the supermarket, and again I was coming there not often, but for the same amount of time. A supermarket, and the security guard was really obvious, and it was annoying. So I walked over to I didn't leave. I went to the store manager, and it was a black manager. Well, guess what happened? When I told her, I said, I'm standing here trying to decide what candle I want to get, and this guy's, and I told him what he was doing. He said, oh, maybe he just thinks that you're so beautiful. I wanted to slap him. And this manager wins awards for manager of the month or something like that. I'm thinking, what an idiot. And after that incident, I stopped going to that supermarket for a while. Then I forgot about it, and then I did stop going. But see, I see that how blacks handle racial profiling incidents is different than how in my other incident how an Asian handles racial profiling. The Asian handle it professionally and quickly, while the Black American manager uh, gave a response that was sexist and very unprofessional, and I thought was very immature in how he carried himself. So it's like, wow, it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating. Yes, hello, viewer. Good evening, good evening. So this is kind of like a dilemma that happens in New York City. And again, I was in another situation, a bookstore, and this security guard is following me. And it was a black security guard. And I went to the manager, and it was a female manager, a black female manager. And something happens, yeah, I had to tell, I went to the man. I said, I want to talk to a manager. And then she said, oh, I'm the manager of this store. And I told her what happened. She responded very maturely. She responded how I would want a manager to handle it. Um, you have to be careful. I think, see, we don't know what's really going on with some of the, when a security guard has to deal with the public. See, when I was a security guard, it was during, what do you call it? Graveyard hours. So the place is closed. It was only maybe 1 hour that I had to actually interact with the people who worked in that building. And that's out of that, just an hour time. Out of 8 hours, 1 hour out of those 8 hours. Okay. Um, so, because you're not dealing directly with the people per se, it's it's not as much conflict. But I'm wondering whether security guards that work during, the regular 9 to 5 type of hours, are they being told to do certain things? You know, so you really got to be careful. And I, I can only speculate that maybe they want to feel like, prove to their bosses or people hiring them that, yeah, they're on the money, But see, sometimes black people can be prejudiced. See, we're programmed. Any human being, it's not just black people, whatever, but I think what happens that you cannot remove how you feel about yourself, and you may project your behavior, the attitudes that you feel might be projected on you, you project it on the customer. And I think that's what's happening to some of these security guards. I think that's what could be happening. And they they could be harsh on you. Oops, my hand was covering the lens. And they could be harsh on you. If you feel oppressed, I mean, look in New York City, you start to see, like, you look at some of these security guards look spooky. Some of them are dressed very sloppy. They're leaning against the wall, their arms are crossed. That's a no-no. You don't stand like that. And so I think they have to be reminded that you have to look professional at all times, especially if you're there to um, protect the people who work at an establishment. You know, I don't feel it's like the atmosphere of New York City is becoming more and more seedy. It's getting a street edge to it. It's really weird because, like, this is the New York skyline that you can see in part. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful view. Too bad, because it's nighttime, you can't see the details, but it's absolutely gorgeous when you look out the window. But New York is just getting this tough edge, and so you have luxury buildings, and then next you have poverty. And it's very contrasting, these two that coexist together. You have the so called poor urban blacks, And then you have the up and coming um, affluent that live in New York. And the stores, the people who do the security in New York City are usually black people. They get black Americans, black West Indians, um, Hispanics from the Caribbean. That would be Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic primarily. Um, let's see. If I didn't mention West Africans, they seem to get um, very few whites are in the industry in New York City. If you have white people who are security, they usually are the ones that carry guns. Okay, and they work in a different establishment like banks, things like that. Um, what else? They 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 just don't seem very. It's like they look like they don't want to be there. I don't feel safe with them working there. Okay, um, and I don't want to be profiled by them. You know, I want to be comfortable at an establishment. Okay, so that was my other concern. Um, this let's see. So, as I mentioned, with this racial profiling, and that lady at a Trump the Trump town hall meeting, and her question was really she was concerned as she used the term person of color. Um, is it people of color or black people? And again, as I said, it's not people of color. It's the people who historically were victimized by the transatlantic slave trade and the indigenous people of the Americas. Indigenous people of the Americas were also enslaved. They were kidnapped. They were forcibly removed from their homes and pushed to live what they call reservations and put in other uh, locations. And you find people like them, that history, are the people who are being racially profiled. So, and again, as I said, well, which color is being racially profiled? And again, that the answer with that is black people primarily. So whether they're a black person, but maybe of um, Hispanic background, or their English speaking background, these are the people that are being um, racially profiled. And why I say it like that? See, what they're not saying is, see, like today when I went into that jewelry store and they didn't seem to want to help me or get someone who knew, and when I requested it, they all the people in the store all looked up at me at once because they didn't expect me being of what they call a person of color slash black person to request, then send someone over who would know. See, they don't expect you to ask. Well, if you don't know, please bring someone over who is familiar with the tools that can do this particular function. Again, it shouldn't be a heavy question because this is in the middle of the jewelry industry in Manhattan. So it shouldn't be a no-brainer. It should be a no-brainer. So that person that did eventually come to help me was a person of color. You may ask, well, which color? Well, See, the guy was darker than me, but see, he's not someone from that demographics that I mentioned about people of color and being someone of the African diaspora or the indigenous people that was here at the time of Columbus. Not that he wasn't here. This person was someone from South Asian background. And he's the person that came to help me. Now, in the Diamond District or the Jewelry District in New York City, which is on 47th Street in Manhattan, you have many people of color, but again, which color? And it seems like in that industry, who you have there who are considered people of color that have stores there, that work there, and are not being racially profiled are people from Asia. Asian people are not racially profiled in that district. They have many businesses there, and they are protected by the police. Okay? This area, the Diamond District / the Jewelry District in Manhattan, is so protected. If something happens, the police are on there immediately. Okay? These people that work there are protected, and protected for a reason. It's about it's what's that word I'm thinking of? It's industry. It's money. It generates money. And it seems like the police are encouraged to protect certain industries. Jewelry industry is protected. You're dealing with millions and millions of dollars in commerce. It's active. It's trading in golds, precious minerals, metals. I meant to say, stones and all that. It's highly regulated and protected. And so, how come that in this country, how come this whole year and all these things, I think it actually started last year with Juicy Smollett, the light-skinned black actor who allegedly lied about being threatened by people wearing mega hats, and it turned out to be two people of Nigerian ancestry, and there's cameras with them purchasing the items that they said that was said to be used in the hoax. Okay. So again, you have things that are happening. What was I going to get at? Now, so he did a hoax, but all these things that's happening in America, it's a big, big, big country. But why are all the incidences that you hear about are just black people? If people, if they say to them, well, I'm a person of color, well, what color? And why are they selecting that particular color? See, there's a special thing about this terminology. See, person of color, and again, what color? See, when they say because of my color, it's not because of your color. It's because of being designated in belonging to a particular demographics. See, it's a code. United States was built on a color code system. Like with electronics and stuff, you have wires and it's color coded. They have why is it I given certain colors, and it's to denote certain things. People are also designated colors, and based on what color you are assigned being means to treat you in a certain way or to view you in a certain way. It is not your skin color. And that was another thing that pissed me off with one of the people who was being interviewed. And they said, oh, because I don't want my kid to be racially profiled because of their color. People aren't being racially profiled because of their skin color. People are being racially profiled because of what color code system they are assigned to. Your skin you can be an albino, but if you're a person of what they call African descent, whether it's Spanish speaking, English speaking, but in particular non-Hispanic speaking, they treat in New York at least, if you're perceived to be Hispanic versus a black slash but who is non-Hispanic, you're treated in another way in general. So we are assigned categories of a color group, and if you are perceived, perception's a big thing. If you're perceived to belong to a certain color and it's not based on your skin color, because you have, as I said, about the person in the jewelry store, supply store, who did finally went to assist me, um, was a man of color, and I think actually darker than me. People from South Asia could be very dark in color. They, in general, could be darker than most black people. So why is it that if this thing called being racially profiled because of your skin color, why is it that people from South Asia are not racially profiled? Why is it that they can go to a department store and not be followed by the same type of black people, black security guards, that racially profile other people of color? Why is this? This is a big question. This is what you should be asking yourself. If all things are equal, if it's because of your skin color, where you have people from India, Pakistan, and the vicinities who are dark in color, and nothing is happening to them. They, let's say they drive in the car. You've never heard of it. If anybody who's hearing this and knows of someone from, let's say, South Asia, and someone who looks like they're from South Asia, are they being pulled over by the cops? Are they being profiled when they go in the supermarket? And I talk about people who are perceived to be an Arab Muslim, or just someone who's Arab, so-called Arab looking. So they might have some type of turban on. And I talk about that. Someone who's just wearing regular so-called Western clothing. Okay. So why is it? What is this? Why in America, why are they deciding that this group is left alone? Why is it that if it's people of color and you're being discriminated against with getting certain type of jobs? Well, I used to work in industry, many industries, and I don't see people from South Asia being discriminated in certain positions. They're put in management. They're being hired. So why is this? If it's just your skin color, because it's not about skin color. And that's what I want to really stress. It's not because, see, when I hear black people say this, oh, I was discriminated, I say it like this because I'm getting upset. Because they want black people to believe that you are being profiled because of your skin color. So you have all these black people want to bleach their skin, or they straighten their hair, think that white people are going to like them more. It might have some effect. Yeah, the darker a black person's skin is, the more they are mistreated. Very true. But it's not skin color alone. It is what group you are assigned to. Because again, as you see, that you have people from South Asia, such as India, Pakistan, um, all those other areas around there, darker skinned people. And they're not being chased by the cops on the street. Um, so this is something you have to really start analyzing. See, if you always think that it's because of your color, you start to think there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your skin. What's wrong is racism because of a history that happened in the United States throughout the Americas of the transatlantic slave trade, and it was a system designed to always keep you down. At one point in history, they didn't allow people from any part of Asia. So whether you're a light-skinned person from China and the vicinity, or a darker skinned person from South Asia, you weren't allowed. But now people are allowed, and I just thought that was interesting. And I asked myself, it's interesting. Now laws were passed to protect what they call minorities slash people of color. And I saw a chart on YouTube, and the chart had different groups. The bottom of the group were blacks, and the next on the ladder above blacks were Hispanics, and the next in line was, oh, what's that? Whites, and then on the top of the line was Asian. And this ladder of different demographics in America was about their economic power. Did you know that the Asian in America, they did not specify which Asian, because Asia is a big place, and they come in all different colors. So again, the varieties of the color did not hinder their excess. I mean, it didn't hinder their success in this country. They are the top group in the United States. So I start to ask myself, it's just a question that I don't understand, but it's something behind it. And again, I don't want anything to happen to any of these groups. You work your buns off, you work hard, you study. You deserve the fruits of your labor. Okay, regardless what your uh, demographics is. But I ask myself this question: if some white people don't want blacks to get ahead in this world, in the Americas, or um, they don't want us to live in certain places or certain types of jobs, or etc. So how come they're allowing Asians to have businesses, and the law enforcement protects their industry? So if something happens, They call the cops come immediately. Okay, they're protected. They live in communities. Um, they tend to be like in Chinatown. Our Chinatown is very congested. Indian neighborhoods in New York City, a lot of Indians live in Queens, but it's not near as crowded as Chinatowns. Uh, I've, 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 I don't hear of police doing raids and I'm sure somebody gets arrested in these places, but you never hear anything like this in the media. You very rarely ever hear anything happen to any type of Asian person, whether light or dark. If you hear something, it's blacks or West Indians and some Hispanics. Okay? So again, why does white America allow Asians this freedom to make money? Why are Asians allowed or are selected in top schools such as engineering, medicine, the sciences? Why is that? Now, someone might say, well, they do very well in school. Yes, many of them do very well. But what allows people to do well in the environment is an environment that is conducive to their learning. So they don't have teachers telling them that they're inferior. I remember when I was in school, they had a picture of a black man being lynched and a little white girl laughing, pointing and laughing at the black man that's being hung. Now, I don't know any Asian, someone showing pictures of them being lynched or people laughing at them. It's a different attitude. It's not shown. It's not. I've never seen in New York City school system anything that was anti-Asian of any color. Um, Many times they're put into different classes actually. They're put in honors classes. It's just separate. And they said, well, they study harder. Yeah, yeah statistically, I was told yes, they study longer hours. Okay, but I I I I get the impression that the system wants them to do well, so they're creating a comfortable environment for them so that they can focus on their study and work. They are wanted to do well, and so they are selected. They want to select them to do this. You look in the medical field for medicine. I used to work, volunteer in a hospital, and they showed the, um, the new residents, staff residences of that hospital. And many of them are foreigners from Asia and white. Those are the groups, Asians and whites. Very few black people. Very few black Americans. If they have a black person, it might be a West Indian or an African. How come that the environment in America is not conducive to the black American and especially the black man in America? It's just a question I have. How come it's hard for the black American man to focus so that he could study long hours and could focus so that he could get in the medical program? Why is this? Why? Why isn't that only these other people could seem to do well in school? Well, it is by design. these people are selected from countries, and the people who, from these Asian countries, they already have some type of connection, such as money, and in a um, social caste from their countries that is favorable for success. And the U.S. is encouraging this and enter into the country. Okay. And again, in the past, they didn't, no matter how hard you worked, if you're a black person, they don't want you in. This one lady, a black woman that I did meet, and she told me, yeah, she was a psychiatrist, and she was saying that in the rounds, well, she mentioned specifically that they didn't want Cubans to get into if you were Cuban, you could not be rotated in the psychiatry rounds. That's what she said, and I don't know why she was telling me this, but there are biases, and they don't want certain groups of people in certain industries in medicine. Again, she told me it was dumbfounding. So the industry is being regulated, and it's so you also have to ask yourself, with the health field, who is the sickest in America but the same people who are being discouraged in the field of medicine? Black people. Now, if black people have a different physiology and different chemistry, but yet the standard for medicine is from the white male primarily. A white man's physiology and chemistry is not the same as a black man's body chemistry and physiology. There are differences. We act differently, respond differently to these medicines. So if you're using this type of medicine on us, well, of course we're going to feel at this. So it seems like this is by design. So you're in a system that doesn't want you to know about your own body. Uh, in fact, when I used to study cosmetology, it's the beauty industry, and cosmetology, they don't want you to know about black hair care. And when you graduate, I mean, you are tested on how to do chemical relaxers for the board exam. So every so-called person who gets their cosmetology license is supposed to all know how to do, at least theory, how to do black hair care. But yet they will not do your hair. The white people do not want to do black hair care. And this I was exposed to. I was in the industry. Um, I lasted about, I think, 10 months. I was going to school, and then on the side, be careful, my little doggy, I didn't want to roll off the bed. um, but I didn't, what was I going to say now? Yeah, it was very prejudiced. You were required to, if you're a black person, you were required to do black clients, but you're not really trained how to do it, and white people refuse to do it. So it's the industry is biased. So this has to be corrected. You know, you so if the hair if hair is if people are treating hair types because of race, aren't they also discriminating how they treat your body, medicine? It's just food for thought, and this has to be corrected. This has to be corrected. because it does exist. And, I talked about this book here called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I started reading it, and a remarkable individual. And yes, he is a black American fellow, and he performed excellently um, when he had a lot of obstacles growing up. He was abused as a child by his father, and he lived in a very racist community. He was the only black in his high school, and uh, he overcame these things. He the racism that he incurred. He used it as fuel to um, better himself. You know, I admire certain things about it. I just started reading it. I want to finish it, but um, people like him. I mean, this. I don't mean this as a put down, but it's concerns that I have, and I want to be honest. Okay, he's exceptional. He's an exceptional human being, and he overcame a lot of odds against him. He says that, how do you word it? Basically, he's saying he doesn't like the narrative that racism is controlling him and blah blah blah. He's not on a pity party at all. Not on a pity party. He doesn't want to dwell on that. He's about the now, and as he says in this book, he says, "Master your mind and defy the odds." Now, I want that. So I got this book to try to find out how to overcome my mindset, to really release the power that's in me. You know, he's respected by a lot of white people, and I am a little confused that, see, he saw on YouTube this person, David Goggins, and he's from upstate New York. And I start asking myself questions about him. Okay, my question is, now he's exceptional. How come he's not being paraded in the black community as something to look up to find out how did he do it? How could other black people or any human being follow in his footstep of success? How come? I don't see any black YouTuber interview him. But I see white men, and it was white men that targeted him in school, in his neighborhood. Okay? Why is that? They admire his strength, and they treat him very well in the interviews. They love interviewing him. They said he's one of the um, most recommended individual to enter. Like let's say a YouTuber interviews many different types of people, they request him the most. Yeah, and these are white men that interview him, and I see that people like him that don't feel sorry for themselves, who do not promote the racism narrative, are loved by white people, and those that focus heavily on racism in America are not interviewed, like to be interviewed, I notice. So it's just something that I noticed. Why is this? Why? It's like, does racism or does it not exist? How is it that he's able to succeed with his mindset? Now, he was in the military, I should see. This is the military. They allow blacks in the military. They allow that. Blacks are at a higher percentage, I believe. We make up 12%, but we make up more than 12% in the military. We make up more than 12% as security guards. So why is it that this is allowed? Why is this? They want us to be um, fighting power. They like us with how do you say it? They allow blacks to be in positions to defend white institutions, such as the United States of America. But people like him aren't being used to protect their own neighborhoods. You hear what I'm saying? That you have institutions. We're hired to protect other people's institutions, but our own neighborhood, people like him aren't being used to defend their own neighborhood. And our neighborhoods are being victimized. And who's primarily victimizing our neighborhood but black people? Why is this? Can other black people see him and say, wow, how, let's follow his footsteps? Why aren't other black YouTubers interviewing him and lifting him up? Only white men I see interview this guy, yet they were the ones that were discriminating against him. They put a gun to his head when he was a kid and called him the N-word. Yeah, I don't know how he survived that. More power to him. My other question about him, my concern now he seems like a beautiful, a real, I'm impressed, and that's why I bought this book, because I wanted to find out. I want to improve my life as an individual. It seems like the narrative, like if you are a black person and you say there's no racism. Oh, I see my battery's getting low. So I'm gonna put a plug in. Let me fix this. Yeah, I have this plug here, this thing. Yeah, let me plug it in before it shuts off. Just put in the plug in. Just a moment. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So what I want to say, I mean, it's a sensitive issue, and again, I'm saying these things not to attack any group. Some people may hear what I'm saying and think, oh, I'm being anti-white. No, I'm not trying to be anti-white. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. I see a pattern, and I'm wondering why it's happening, and it doesn't seem balanced. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, this person here, what it sounds like what happens sometimes, the trend in America is that if you are a black person and your narrative is that you can overcome racism or that it doesn't exist, you are then promoted on YouTube, and you get interviewed by white people, white men in particular, and a lot of times, like I shouldn't say a lot of times, but I'm thinking also when I look at him, I'm also thinking about this woman by the name of Candace Owens. She is married now, so her married name is Farmer. So I guess Candace Farmer. She got married last year. Now, she married a white man from Britain, his family is affluent, and she speaks the same narrative as him. And Candace Farmer, or Candace Owens, is also promoted on YouTube and is asked to speak on behalf of audiences primarily white. And both of these people, the Candace Owens, raised by a single mom. The father left, I think, when she was young, and then she was brought over to her grandfather to live, grandparents to live, and it helped her. It was a better economic situation, and she was able to get a better education. Uh, she let's see, she did start college and then she left it. So she's not a college graduate, but she's interviewed by countless people and does not have a college degree, but yet she is requested by many white institutions. And then she is asked in marriage to someone that only knew her for 2 weeks and never dated him during that 2 week period, and she accepted his hand in marriage. And they married later on that same year, which was last year in 2019. I think it was August 2019 they got married. Yes, August 2019 they got married. So more power to her. So my question is that if I sing a narrative that racism doesn't exist in America, does that mean that I would be interviewed by and accepted by white people and by white men and be interviewed on YouTube by all these people? Why is it that when you do have a narrative like that, that the people that you might be married to or dating, why is it that they tend to be white? Now, I don't know who he is engaged with. He said that he is engaged, and more power to him. He seems like a nice, good fellow, and he'd been through a lot. It'd be nice to have a nice person that you can marry. I have no idea, but my instinct. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Again, he can marry anybody. It's his business. And every person has a right to marry who they want to marry. But why do I feel that he may not be marrying to marry a black woman? Why does my instinct say it's somebody other than a black woman? It'd be interesting to find out who he's to marry. So, I mean, it's something you have to answer. Is it that I don't know? I don't understand this. That you have racism, and then you have blacks who are against the narrative of racism, but why is it that they're not dealing with the black community or encouraging the black community? Neither. I think I saw once Candace Owens talking to black people, but it had a different feel. It didn't seem positive. It didn't flow well. It seemed restricted. It seemed strained that it, it, it wasn't being believed. But when she was being interviewed by a predominantly white audience, everything was happy, upbeat, and wow. and she's even paid by a white person. She what's the word? Yeah, she's financed by a white organization, and it's unbelievable. And she even made mention in the video that she wants to run for, should be running for president. Well, she hinted that in 2024 she will be of age to run for president of the United States of America, which is interesting. Now, I wouldn't. Now, when I first learned of Candace Owens, not too long ago, maybe it could have been 2 years ago. And I said, wow, when I heard her speak, I was really impressed, very excited, and I watched a little bit. Um, but then now for this year, just something is on my heart. Something doesn't sit right. So I have, it's like I was watching the videos of her, but there's something said, wait a minute. Just something didn't sit right. And I start asking questions. Why isn't she, if she's speaking on behalf of, well, I should say, if she's saying, professing about racism not being an issue, and she wants opportunity, but why isn't she addressing this matter to black people? Why is she only talking to white people? I feel that there's an agenda, that when you um, speak a narrative that is that it puts the accountability on the victim. But again, not all black people are victims. And I don't want, it's not fair to say if you're a black person, you're a victim. I think some black people victimize themselves and victimize their neighbor. They victimize each other in certain neighborhoods, in poor neighborhoods. And that's why you have the what they call black on black crime. How was she able to escape the black on black crime? Because where she started from. And yes, she did live with her grandparents, and I think they lived in a predominantly white area. But what if she didn't move into a white area? What if she stayed with her mother? How would have things dealt with her? What would have happened? What happens to single head of household black mothers and their children? What usually happens? And why does it change when you move into a predominantly white area? Why are blacks harming themselves who live in these certain communities? This has to be addressed. And to say that racism doesn't exist, or racial, it does happen. It does happen. And how to, you know, it's just very confusing to me. And it's confusing about that the people who profess that these things don't occur seem to be married to or dating a white person. And the vice president hopeful, Kamala Harris, she too is married to a white man. So how is that she will be represent? I mean, she represents anybody who votes for her, but they want to try to use the race card and say, hey, everybody, vote for her because she you know, black people vote for her because she's a black person. But, white America, you can vote for her because she's pro your agenda. So again, I feel that it's giving mixed messages to America, to people. I feel it's mixed messages. Let me just see here. Um, yeah, this at some of the meetings with Trump, I was surprised at this. He made mention about he wants to prevent. Now, I did vote for Trump, and most likely I will vote for Trump for his second election. But the question I have though, which was mentioned in one of his rallies, that he wants to prevent projects being made in the suburbs, and that to protect the integrity of the suburbs. Now, what is a suburb? A suburb is a house, private houses primarily, owned by individuals. But isn't the projects is just affordable housing that's owned by the government? Why should it be excluded from the suburbs? This is a very important question, and it's like presumed, like, oh, you can't have that in the suburbs. Why not? See, when you keep, see, it's. I feel it is to divide. It's to divide peoples who generally lives in the projects. But again, that same demographics, people of the African diaspora, whether English speaking, Spanish speaking, right? That's primarily who lives in there, in the projects. And you do have suburbs. And what's again a suburb? What if? See, it's telling to me that to put in the projects in a suburb is going to, they say, lower the value of the people, the homeowners of the suburbs. Why is that? Well, they know those projects, how it's set up it's like a prison. Black people, people of the diaspora, were forced to move in there. It initially got started, I think, right after World War II, I think the 1950s, and initially was all different races. It was primarily a place where you can start out in, and then you graduate from there into your own private home. So it permitted you to save money while you lived in there. It's based on income. You save up your money, you move and get a house. And that's what my parents did. That's exactly what my parents did. But somehow it changed, and that people weren't graduating out of there. They were like stuck in there, and they're not kept up. Well, why aren't people doing their job to keep the property safe? Why is it? Why is it so much criminality? Why are there gangs that control it? Well, again, it's run by the government. Is the government setting up these gangs to terrorize the people there? And if so, why? Why do you want to terrorize people? What good do you get out of it? What good do you get out of traumatized people who who are stressed out and overcrowded, and they're not performing well in school? Why? Well, maybe part of the answer is because many of these projects are in Democratic dominated districts. Okay? And maybe it is their plan they want you in prison, they want you enslaved, and they want you to kill yourself. I mean, it's all by design, it seems like, in my opinion. Um, but what about these Republicans? Do they love you so much? And if they love black people so much, if black people started the Republican Party, how come Republicans aren't refurbishing these, what they call projects, so that they at least be safe and have clean running water, no asbestos and lead paint? Why didn't they kick in if they love us so much? I was told that the black people formed the Republican Party. So what happened? I don't think Republican as a party now is someone that really cares about blacks. I don't want us to think that because someone is Republican that they are a certain way. It's people. And it's not a political party that determines whether they're going to like you or not. People choose who they're going to like or dislike. And if the projects are that stigmatizing, why don't they clean it up? Whether it's the suburbs or in the urban areas, people should be safe where they live. And I think I feel for it to be fair, people should have equal access to education. Suburbs and them paying their taxes, um, the property tax and everything that's being used to pay for the education system, I presume, that if they, if the the money is being used for the school system, but if an area is being denied, if certain people are being denied certain access because of they're not being allowed to go into certain industry or being hired in certain industries or positions, it's going to put them at a disadvantage. And so I feel that to help counteract those effects of not allowing certain demographics in certain businesses and not having the economic strength, that they should put those projects in the suburbs to, because see, you can't, again, the suburbs, it seems like, was created to allow white people to run away from black people. And these were Republicans and Democrats, right? Right? Aren't they? Didn't they run away from these areas and set the suburbs for primarily white people? Education. These people deserve the same quality of education. And when you have a group of people isolating themselves so they can hoard things, see, that's what I'm against. I'm against not having equal access. If the projects had the same quality of school, well, again, in the project, you have larger families, and the school systems are overcrowded. So either make larger schools so you can have fewer students per classroom so the children could be um, catered to. The students aren't being catered to. You know what else were they doing in the black school systems, or the people of the African diaspora, whether they're Spanish speaking, English speaking, all these people, that these school systems, they get money off of these kids. And you might say, well, how does this happen? Well, um, if you have people living in the projects and it's in living in fear 24/7, and then they're forced to go to school that's overcrowded and violent and being frisked and all that, okay, they're not going to be able to focus, and their scores, their grades are going to be suffering, and low grades, and they say, oh, you got a learning disability. Well, we're going to put you in a special ed class. See, there's money to be made. Money in America is always to be made off of black people primarily. I mean, a big source for white people, the white system. And they do this sneakily with special ed, in urban areas. So they force primarily black men, black males. They're also black females, but primarily the black male is targeted. And they bring them into these classrooms, and nothing gets really taught there. And they get money for each kid. A lot. I don't remember the amount of money that they get for each individual kid, but it's a business. Put in as many kids in the special ed so it brings in money to the school, but yet no teaching is made. No, those kids are not improved. Nothing happens. They're not using the money that they're getting for these kids for education to help these kids overcome their so-called learning disability. It's very insensitive, I think, of the school. And some of these schools are run by black people. It's a racket. It's a racket. So if it's money being made, so let's look in comparison. I'm just realizing something here. Okay, you have the suburbs. Let's say a white suburb, and they make money, and so it's used for the school system to keep the classes small, and yeah, textbooks and all this things to help their kids learn. Well, in the black schools, they're probably receiving more money per kid, but yet you have less education being done for these kids. Okay? So it's not about money. It's not about money. It's about intent. And the intent was to extract as much as you can from certain people. So black people are being extracted in many different ways to finance others than themselves. So their labor, their studying is not equipping them. It's a weird type of slavery. So you're there, and you kind of sort of, you're in this classroom, but your grades aren't. You're not getting any good grades. All this money is being used. I mean, given to the school system for you, but it's not being made. Just like during the time of slavery, you did all the work, but you didn't get the benefits or the glory. Someone else did. Someone else got your glory and your work and your labor, the fruit of your labor. The black student isn't getting the fruits of their labor. They're being sabotaged. They're being humiliated with when they do talk about history. When I was in school, I felt the pressure. I didn't understand what was going on cyclically, but I sensed that it was I sensed that they were trying to trap me into the special ed. I got into one special ed, yeah, it was a special ed class for social studies. It was like a slower class. I didn't like social studies because I didn't like what they were discussing. I couldn't focus. I was very anxious. That's what was happening to me. I felt that certain subjects they didn't want. I'm a very sensitive individual, and I pick up people's vibes and intent, and that's what was happening. And I noticed classrooms that they treated you nicer and things like that. I did better in. And in fact, I was in an honors chemistry class. Yet the science teachers treated me better. But English and social studies, I didn't feel comfortable. And those were my weakest subjects. See that? So look at these other students that, those other kids who didn't feel comfortable, you know, and many of them were maybe all of their classes, so they put them in a special ed and they're stuck there. And I remember when I was in that slow social studies class, I said, I gotta get out of this. They trying to make me feel that I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. And yeah, I got out. I eventually got out of it. But look at those students who don't get out. There are students who never get out, and they don't want them to get out. Yeah, yeah. It's designed to make them fail. Yeah, you gotta, I don't know how Candace Owens, how she got out of the school system. I mean, yeah, her grandfather put her in a different school system that was favorable. But again, most of us, um, we can't get out. We're stuck in the slum, you know. So I hope with this election that's coming up, presidential election, that, they have to address these issues. If you want to change the playing field to make, to make America greater, you have to address these issues about the school system as it pertains to urban areas where black people live, that is over congested. Um, the kids are forced into special ed classes, and they don't want them. They're not excelling. They're not doing well. They're not doing well, and it seems like they're promoting people from Asia. Now, this is not an anti-Asian rant. I actually enjoy being around people from Asia. Growing up in school, those were the ones that generally befriended me. So it's not about um, wanting them, denying them the ability to excel. I want everybody to excel, but I perceive through uh, observation that certain groups are being promoted and others are being uh, prevented. And when I saw the statistic that the Asian is actually doing better than the white, you have to ask yourself, so why is white America in general holding blacks down, but yet white America is promoting the Asian? See, I used to think that they're preventing blacks from excelling because they're afraid of us, and they don't want, because of our so-called color. So if that is the case, why is white America not holding back the Asian of color? Why is this? I sense that there's going to be a sleeping giant in America. There is a sleeping giant that's developing. Right now, it's in its dwarf stage, but it's going to grow. And it's this group that's going to most likely rule America. No, this is not a fear mongering speech, but I'm just being real. I'm being real. You have to look at something and then you say, okay, if this trend continues 10, 20 years down the line, down the road, where is it going to lead to? That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about hate. If you work hard, you deserve the fruits of your labor, regardless of your race. You work hard, you study hard, yes, you deserve the fruits of your labor and all that comes with it. But with that, you have to see where it's going to lead you. Is this by design? And I say yes. If all these things happen in American history against blacks because white white men are afraid of us to be on top, well, why is white America very open with Asian people? If it's about color, you have many Asians that are darker than me. And yes, you have light-skinned Asians also. So what is it? This is something that has to really be um, paid attention to. See, there is a goal, but nothing is by accident. Nothing. And so, if this is by design, who's designing it? Why are they designing it? Why are they profiling us and not these Asian people who are maybe perceived as a threat to white people's dominance in America? Okay, so only thing I could speculate is that whites want to turn the country over into other hands. Just look at what's happening with China. Now, um, it turned out Biden and Obama was doing a deal with China and the Ukraine, I was told recently, and that the emails showed that Biden was receiving money from his son, who was receiving money from Ukraine of what was he representing? Oh, he was representing something he has no college degree in. He's a college dropout, and I think he was kicked out of the military as well. Okay, here I am a college graduate. I have my master's degree, and I am a veteran, and I was honorably uh, let ended my military service, but no one is coming to me and giving me $100,000 a month to know nothing about a particular field in engineering. How do these people get the jobs and I didn't? Why aren't they coming to me and ask my opinion about something? Uh, I don't have expertise in that field either, but at least I have an honorable separation from the military and I have a master's degree. Yet, oh, what's his name? The guy that's running for president, the Democrat. Why is his son? Why they coming to him? Well, again, it's not about his knowledge, his son. It's about who his son who the father is. The father was the vice president. And so they were what they call pay to play. Pay to play. Pay to play means, okay, get to the son, give him money, and so they have promote a particular a benefit to that country, to China or Ukraine, and they're allowing it. So why is America doing, some people in America, I should say, some officials in America allowing pay to play? Well, it seems to suggest to me that some members of the Democratic Party, and who knows, maybe even some Republicans, they are paying Asia. I'm sorry, they're receiving payment from Asia and Eastern Europe to do things that does not fit, that is not favorable to America. So I'm wondering whether uh, they're doing a pay-to-play to hire people from these various Asian countries to not harass them so they could focus on their schoolwork, that they can live in harmony and do well. Asia, Asia as a whole, make the most money in the country. They're the richest group in this country, and also health-wise, they are the healthiest and they live the longest. And more power to them. That's really nice. So, is this pay-to-play system being formulated because, um, you have some people in life who are willing to sell their children. Okay, I'll repeat that again. You have some parents who are willing to sell their children, literally. And in this government, we may be considered children also, and they're willing to sell their children to others. And so I have a feeling it's going to be a takeover. It's inevitable. Excuse me. It sounds like it's inevitable. I hope you all could hear me out there, viewers. And again, I am saying a lot. I know it is controversial. And again, this is not a hate speech against Asians. If you work hard, you deserve the fruits of your labor. And that's what I'm all about. But I believe everybody should have an equal playing field, that if they work hard, they should get the fruits of their labor and get it. Okay? Do you agree with this, listener? Let me know. Write a comment in the chat or in the comment area. Yeah, these are important questions to find out about. You know, so you have people. You don't want the projects being introduced to the suburbs yet, but the suburbs were created so that they can get away from urban areas and to uh, have an advantage over people who are left in the urban areas that are overcrowded. It doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for us. Yeah, let me see what else here. I have a list here of things I want to talk about. Okay. Yeah, it's a mindset I see that's happening in New York City where I'm speaking from. Um, I saw something on a video today. Okay, it's revealing the mindset that's being introduced that's being reinforced in what they call urban America, and it's here in New York City. Um, it's I mean, I was really surprised. It's called parkour. Parkour is a French term. It's spelled Parkour. It's my little doggy here. Okay. Now, it's a type of acrobatics, and it was devised by the French um, in Martinique. In Martinique in 1904 or 1905, there was a major earthquake that destroyed a town um, in the northern part of the island where 30,000 people died instantaneous. And the mainland France had gone to Martinique, which is in the Caribbean. You need to get down? My little doggy's looking at me. Let me see her face. Show me your little face. That's a little face. She's a good little girl. So, they devised these movements. They're require jumping, leaping, swinging. You okay, baby girl? You want to get down? Want to get down? Hmm? You need to move? You want to move up? Poor girl. She might be overheated. Let me put her down on the ground. Hold on. Let me put you down. Yeah, she's not able to jump. Oh, she wants to go out. Hold on a moment. She may have to go potty. Yeah. Let me just get her down below and I'll just finish her. Just take me a second. Okay. Uh, okay. Mm. Can I open the door for you? You have to go out? Okay. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Oops. Okay. Get back here. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I have my little doggies with me, and somebody have to take care of business. Oh, where's that paper I was just looking at? Okay, my notes. Oh yeah, this thing about in Martinique. Yeah, it was this acrobatics or whatever exercise that was devised there by the people from mainland France, and they had to go to the, you know, send these troops, whatever, to help out there. It was a devastation that happened in that town. Um, but it's called parkour, and they have a parkour class. I think they said it was in Brooklyn, New York, and they had, let's see, the person that was in charge was a white French guy, and then everybody else. There's one other white person, white female. She was a gymnast, and then they had two other gymnasts who were black, and then they had um, I don't know whether they were instructors, co-instructors, whatever, but two, one Hispanic guy of black a black guy of Hispanic origins, and then a black guy that could be just Anglophone from America. And how it's set up that now it was like an obstacle course. They had these oh, how you call it, like these things, like a short wall, and that you jump on top of it. It's to represent rooftops, okay? And they also had bars, but basically you do these jumps and leaps made to look like you're jumping from one ledge of a building to another, and it's graffiti all over. So, out of this group, the mass majority of the people in attendance were all black people slash people of color, and only two were white. One the white French guy, the other a white American. And what I thought it was setting us up into was the mindset. See, they're showing New York as a dirty place. This it's a gym, but the gym looks like a ghetto, like a dilapidated, graffiti tenement buildings. But it's something that you jump, simulating jumping from one rooftop to the next, and all that. And I thought, this is teaching and reinforcing a mindset. This is New York City is a cosmopolitan place. It has some of the best parks. It has beautiful museums. But see, when there's black people involved. They want you to see yourself as someone that that is associated with dirty buildings and graffiti. I don't want graffiti on any building that I live in. I don't want to promote it. And I felt that the French guy was promoting a mindset that black people and social decay or building decay is to be associated with us. I didn't like that linking that with us. What do you think about that? Have any of you ever heard of parkour? Let me know. Have you heard of that, viewers? Let me know. So I think a lot of things why some people may think racism exists in places like New York City is in part how they view people who live in New York City. So again, they show these type of buildings. Why not they show something looking clean and crisp, sophisticated, but they want to show a really street, low education edge, and that promotes racism because it's saying that you don't deserve anything better. And it's things like this that when you travel within the United States, like for example, um, I had a job opportunity in Florida. I used to work at a resort, and this young white kid who worked there, he says, "Oh, you live in a ghetto?" and some other stuff, and it was very stereotyping. So, where did he get that from? Well, he gets this from media. Why, again, back then they didn't have like social media that you have now, but you have people who show on television or on YouTube videos, movies, they depict black people living in slum. They talk harsh, things like that. And this teaches people who don't live in these places that that's where you belong. Hey, hi doing, Cam. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, I've been on for a while. Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, I hope your day went well, Cam. But yeah, so this is my concern about what's happening in the cities. How what they call the inner city or so-called urban areas are being labeled. People are being taught to think this way. Yeah. Thank you so much, Cam. It's really encouraging for you to say that to me. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah. So it's really problematic that here I go to Florida. I had for this job. I had a certificate to do the work that I was doing, and I had work experience. And a young white person, the first thing they say, "Oh, do you live in a ghetto?" Were you? He found out I lived in New York, that I came from New York, and this is the first thing he say. So it didn't matter that I had skills. He's seeing through a particular eye, and that type of eye was something that was um, minimizing me. So it's not just living in a ghetto when he means that socially oppressed. And what else do these socially oppressed areas have? Crime. And so suggesting you might be a criminal. You're dangerous. And that's what I grew up in. I mean, that mindset that people had against people, black people, that you all live in a crime infested area, that you live in graffiti and things like that, you know? So this has to be addressed. So if it doesn't exist, people are being taught certain things, and I want those things, those negative things, to stop. I want them to stop promoting this. It's not cool. Like they even have this store called Urban Outfitters in New York City, and they have like a glass, and the glass is to represent it being kicked out. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, no, it's totally not okay. Yeah, they have they have yeah, Urban Outfit. Hey, Cam, do you have an Urban Outfitters where you live? Yeah, it's a store. It's supposed to be a trendy store. Um, the clothes supposed to look cool and everything, but they have a mindset. They want to. They have this. No, we don't have. We have a city trends. Okay, okay. Well, Urban Outfitters. It's a store. It's catering to a younger demographics, like teens and 20s, and uh, it looks like it's it's done by design. You know, they make it look like it's a rundown. They have like glass, and it's just shattered glass. You know, they're able to make it look like it's all kicked out. Like, I mean, it's one panel, but it's all cracked looking, and it's done deliberately. So it's suggesting uh, something that's run down, something that's messed up. And I think, do they have graffiti also? But it's that flavor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, you'll see. I mean, um, maybe you can Google the store. Maybe they might have pictures of the store. But it's right on. I think it's Fifth Avenue. No, Sixth Avenue. It could be Fifth Avenue or Sixth Avenue in Manhattan. It's in the 40. I think it's in the 40s, like 46th Street or 45th Street, around there. Yeah, so it's showing a mindset. It say, hey, look at this. We got the graffiti, we got the glass. That's sorry. Wow, the sorry that I had the transmission just went off. Okay, looks like it's back on. Yeah, so shattered glass and people. Oh, okay, great. I'm glad that you're still there. Yeah, yeah. The disconnect. It got disconnected a little bit. Okay, so this store again, it's to represent that mindset that urban people are dilapidated, are graffitied, and it's a mindset of destruction and what they call urban decay. And I don't like that. This is conditioning people to view people who live in urban areas. Okay, now you know Donald Trump lived in New York City, but do they call him an urban guy? No, he lived in ultra plush, but it's targeting non-white people. You know, you have whites that live in New York City and blacks, but yet they call black people urban. But if you're a rich white person, they say you are cosmopolitan. See that? So it's a mindset. Be careful what they call you. Now, you are who you are. And whether you're someone that has a poor pocket, you know, that's okay. You are who you are. It's okay to, be proud of what you have. You may be poor, but you might be debt free. And another person could make a lot of money, but they're in debt. Okay? It's about respect. And when you set up these stores and make it sound cool, they even have a makeup line that's called Social Decay. I kid you not. And again, it's really targeting people, what they call people of color. And it's creating a mindset that you are not educated, you live in slum, you're dirty, you're this, that. But Donald Trump is not viewed as dirty. He's a wealthy man who lives in New York City. So see, they label blacks and whites in New York City. It's different. They label black people as urban when they don't want to say black or minority. They say, oh, an urbanite. It's another euphemism for a black person. Yeah, yeah. It's a euphemism, but it's not used on white people. The white people are cosmopolitan, sophisticated, and they're treated differently in the stores. And the stores are gay. There are some stores that don't hire black people to work in as a. I'm not going to give out the name. Um, like some jewelry stores, that if they have a black person, they are the security guards, but the people selling the merchandise are white or Asian, light skinned Asians. But if they do, I saw one black person, it was a black man, but he looked like the effeminate. So if you're gay black male, they'll hire you in a position like that. Okay. But why can't you hire a straight looking black man? Black men wear jewelry. So why do you got to get a homosexual looking or acting black man to work in these stores? Because they don't trust black men. That's why. That is why. And it's pathetic. I used to work for this jewelry store. They hired me for Christmas help, but it was behind the scenes where no one could see. It was in a phone line, a phone center for the store. Um, so they didn't want black people to be seen. Okay, that's what I noticed with in New York City. Black people were not to be seen in the establishment. None of the customers are to see black people. So they had us work in a phone center. That's where I worked. And but if a black person is to be seen, they are a security guard. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you. I speak right. I'm addressing these matters. It's not about hate speech. I'm exposing this experiences that I had and the mindset that's being taught by people, and that it follows you, just like it followed me when I worked briefly in Florida, and a young white kid on my job said, "Oh, upon learning that I'm from New York, oh, are you from the ghetto?" It's their attitude. So yeah, this jewelry store is it's considered the top. Yeah, and this is what I was faced with, and so it's what makes this. So they're not targeting other so-called minorities. Yeah, Cam. I talked about earlier in the video about people using the term people of color. And then I asked, well, which color is that? What color are you if you're a person of color? And that um, race, it's the, that the United States was built on a color code system. The color code is not skin color per se, but uh, a designated mark, a social mark upon you. And this designation is to determine, are you to be free? Are you able to have free access versus, let's say, black, which means you are restricted? And if it was strictly by color, then how come uh, people from Asia are not being racially profiled? Why are the police not um, arresting them in their homes? Why is it that they're not being what do you call it, rated for drug dealing? Asian people don't do drugs. Only black people? No. So why is this? If it's strictly about your skin color, it's not about skin color. It's about what color code you were designated to be in America. Are you designated to be white, black, or Asian, which is an honorary white system? And I meet Asians that are much darker than me. How come, if they're much darker and in their car, why aren't they being pulled over on the road by the police officers? Why is it that uh, black people and Hispanics who are uh, from the islands in the Caribbean, or um, Native American, what they call mestizo, why are only they being profiled? If it's skin color, those people from South Asia, like India, are darker than me. Why aren't they being racially profiled when they go in the store? Why is that they're being hired to work in certain industry? Why aren't they being harassed? Why is this? So these are just questions I have. This is not, again, this is not an anti-Asian rant. And I know that some of this thing is going to bother some people, but it's about opening the eyes of people so we can address the issue and correct it. That's all what I'm about. Exposing it, so you bring it to awareness, so you say, oh, okay, I see maybe where I went wrong or whatever. Let's correct it. Okay. Yeah. So again, it's a mindset that's being taught about certain people. I also want, let's see, um, yeah. So I made mention about the, um, let's see, yes, you never hear about anybody getting this type of treatment. Yeah. So you have to wonder. So it's not. So again, it's not about skin color. And I got angry earlier today when this black woman um, at a at a town hall meeting with Trump said, you know, I'm a woman of color, and I have children, and I have to teach my kids how not to be, what to do so they won't be racially profiled in the street and be harassed by cops and blah 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 blah. And why I got angry was because it's not because of her color, because it's putting the blame on her skin. It's not her skin that's causing the problem, it's racism causing the problem. And the racism that it's not based on your skin color, because if it's solely a skin color basis, then if you were an albino, you would have free access to, like, the white American, but you're not. And in fact, I've seen how white men treated um, an albino black person. Yeah, and they were violent towards them, verbally violent with them. They were just walking, minding their own business, and then the white man verbally attacked her. I couldn't, but I was horrified. It was right in front of me. So her skin color is the same as that white dude, so why the hate? because it's not about skin color, it's about your designated color code system of oppression that still exists in America. Now, America does have the honorary whiteness about promoting white interests. And so, Candace Owens is a prime candidate. She is a black woman, and she recently got married to a rich white British fellow, and they're expecting their first child this year. And she has um, a a belief that black people are not in the position that they're in because of racism, but because of what they do to themselves. Now, yes, there are people who aren't doing things, but to totally dismiss racism, and also I made mention about him that he also uh, says, look, he's not promoting racism as an excuse, and that he overcame racism by mastering his mind. Now, I bought this book because I want to read how he overcame, you know, uh, but he did say that he's engaged, and it'd be interesting to find out who is he engaged with. Is he engaged to a black woman? I find that blacks who are dating or married to white people seem to have a different mindset as to does racism exist or not. So I find that people who have that, it's just a matter of black people bettering themselves. I find blacks who think that way, and again, nothing wrong with thinking that way, but I find that oftentimes they are not living in a black community, and they're married or dating a white, and they have children from a white union. Okay. Now again, it is your business who you marry. Uh, it is your business who you like, whatever. So it's not an anti. You marry who you feel like marrying. But I'm just noticing that some of the people, as I may mention earlier in this live stream, they like Candace Owens, that even though a lot of white people are want to interview her, why isn't that black people want to interview her? Why aren't black people in America want to put her on their shoulders and and uh, celebrate her? Black people in America are not celebrating Candace Owens. She speaks well, she's highly intelligent. Why isn't she? Why isn't this man, a black man, black American man, why isn't he being interviewed by black people? Why everybody who I've seen on YouTube that interview him are all white men? Why aren't the black community um, celebrating his excellence? Why? It's just food for thought. Why is this? Why is this? Why, when you start to move up the ladder, why isn't that you no longer marry other black people? Why are we being forced to marry people outside from our group? It's just a question. I don't understand it. I feel what's happening, that the more you deny racism as being a factor, the more you're rewarded, and the more people don't want to do business. Black people don't no longer want to do business with other black people. You had another black guy, a young black fellow, and I talked about this before. I don't remember his name, but he said he employs 100 people, and he he does not hire people because of race. He says he will not, he will purposely not hire a black person because they're black. If they can do the job, he'll hire them. But currently, he's only employing Mexicans. You heard me right. Why is it that when a black man in America starts to move up the ladder, why aren't the black business owners not trying to help out his community? Why? He's hiring 100 people. 100 he said so. He can't find a black person. Why? You think those Mexicans are going to hire you, a black person? No. Mexicans hire their own. But he's saying, oh, Martin Luther King said, judge me by my conduct, not the color of my skin. Yes, but the black movement, with Martin Luther King, was self-supported. It was a system that was supported by the black community as a whole. It would not have taken off if the black community didn't come together. You had the best teachers. So why aren't you following their plan? But now they say, oh, I'm not going to follow that plan. I'm going to hire everybody else but my own. And then you wonder why black people economically are on the bottom of the social ladder. Black people on the bottom, then Hispanics, then whites, and then Asians on the top. The Hispanic is above the black because Hispanics hire Hispanics. Hispanics do not hire black people. And these new black business people aren't seeing that. They say, "Oh well, I'm gonna just hire who's able." Bullshit. You are being you're hating yourself. You are self-hating yourself, in my opinion, and you're justifying it because, oh, you're not going to be prejudiced and just hire black people. Well, those Hispanics are only hiring themselves, and those Asians are only hiring themselves, and that's why you're on the bottom. And then you turn your back, and then it's going to be very interesting. That particular black YouTuber, it'd be very interesting if he's married or dating someone. Who is he dating? Most likely it's not a black woman. Most likely. And again, you're free to date who you want to date. You're free to marry who you want to marry. But you have to answer these questions. If it's no racism and it's not hindering you, why does the system seem to be hindering who you marry? And is forcing black people to marry outside of their social racial group. And that I want to find out why. Well, we all know why, but I want this thing addressed. It's a serious issue. It's a very, very serious issue. There was something else I noticed. I did make mention about this, the building. I mean, the store that was catering to a ghetto mindset by even the name Urban Outfitters, and that gymnastics place called parkour. That it showed the graffiti and all this. Well, there was something else that's again catering to that mindset for business. I was walking past a store, and it was a sporting goods store. And this sporting goods store had a line of people. Most of them black and Hispanics from the Caribbean looking people. And it looked like a bouncer at the door. Yeah, like a bouncer. And again, I don't know whether the guy right at the door allowing the people in, because again, you have to do, like, I guess they only allow a certain number of people because of COVID. So they were limiting how many people come in at a time. That's why the line. And then um, opposite the line was a very, very big man. And now again, I'm not sure whether he was an employee of the store or uh, um, a potential customer. I don't know. But he looked like a bouncer. Very big, big guy. Tall and extremely wide and strong looking. Both people at the door were big like this. So when I saw this, I said, man, why is it that stores where black people like to shop, why does it seem like it's held back? I mean, why this like a like even the clubs. You get a place that a lot of blacks or West Indians like to go to where you get it has that element. It's not free, it's not relaxing. And I want this to be addressed. Why do you have this? Why would you have a sporting goods store, but yet you gotta have a bouncer? Or at least it looks like a bouncer? Again, it's perception. Why is it the perception of the stores that cater to black people and Hispanics from the Caribbean? Why that suspicion or uh, 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 handled differently? Why? I don't like that. I didn't feel safe when I was walking past it. I felt danger. I felt danger. And I wouldn't want to go in there. I said, let me walk past this quickly because I don't want any, I don't want to get hit by a bullet. That's what went through my mind when I saw that. I said, let me hurry past this quickly. Again, it's a mindset. It's a mindset that's happening, that's being imposed upon people. So you notice that when black people are together, we don't trust each other. We walk around, and when you see a whole bunch of it, we don't trust each other. Why? Because bad things happen when we gather. And why is this? Because history of slavery and the history of that white people don't trust you when you're two or more standing together. And again, I'm reading this book. Let me show you. I'm reading this book, Uncle Tom's Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. And this is a book that was written during the time of slavery in the United States of America. And it shows the history, the social climate of how life for a black person, whether light or dark, the things that they had to go through, how they were treated by the general white population. It is a serious issue. Yes, it's serious. Nothing really changed. You are perceived as dangerous. We are viewed as dangerous during this time. And then post-slavery, you were you were terrorized by those hate groups, by the KKK. You were forced up north, and then when you get up north, and here you won the fight for the North, but then the North then rejected you, And, excuse me, and yes, we had the Ku Klux Klan in the northern states, and they terrorized black people, even though in certain northern states there was no slavery. So if there was no slavery, then where did you learn this attitude against black people? When black people who entered that state only after slavery, and you mistreated them. Okay, so it's a legacy, and it's to teach. It's teaching that you are suspicious, and they're always caught. Like in this book, the slave was so fearful that they had to come up with creative stories to explain certain things, so then they were perceived as being liars. And it's not like they were liars, they wanted to save their lives. You would say anything to save your life or your children's life. It's awful. It's awful. But this is what I'm reading. I'm almost done. Almost done. I have this much more to go. Okay? Okay, so I'm almost done. And it's really getting to a very interesting part. The guy, Uncle Tom, was sold a third time, and his current oppressor slash master had died violently in his home by some white people. And before he died, I mean, before the incident occurred, he was to free this particular slave, Uncle Tom. And but he didn't do the paperwork. So what does that mean? Well, it means that he's going to be sold off, and that chapter is about exposing what happens to a slave who, let's say, was so-called treated well, and if they didn't have a will or something to, indicating how, in case of their death, the owner's death, what would go with, where would the slave go? Well, these people in slavery could be resold to a real beast. And she talked about some of the people there. And in particular, the women have to be careful because the women could be raped. They talked about people being put in like like a jail, and they're sleeping on the floor. And what happens with the jails? Like when they're gonna have an auction, a slave auction. Well, those people who are selling them could go in the jail where those women are and rape them. Right? That could happen. They feared. It was horrible times. And again, I'm reading this book to learn about who Uncle Tom was, because a lot of blacks call other blacks Uncle Toms. And I didn't know why. I think every black American who uses that term should read this book and reconsider the words that they use when they use Uncle Tom, calling a black person Uncle Tom. It shows their ignorance and insensitivity to a black man who is outnumbered and who's being victimized. Shame on all of you who use that term. You need to read the book and educate yourself and have compassion for one another. See, books like this, see, black people, yeah, even here, and this is a novel, it's not a true story, but I'm sure many of the things she writes about is based on actual things that happened during this time of slavery. But you found here in this book that the slaves were competing with other slaves for position. Like slaves that worked in the house wanted favor, and they would abuse slaves that were considered beneath them, oftentimes based on color. Okay, so that was an issue. And then you had slaves that were against, let's say you were a house slave versus a field slave. Um, the field slave didn't like the house slave. But slavery is slavery. And both slaves had its terrors. A slave that's working in a house had to be on their toes 24/7. Any little infringement or embarrassment, that slave was tortured. House slaves were tortured. The field slave didn't have to stand next to a white person, but they had to perform and fulfill a quota. And when they didn't fulfill the quota, they were tortured also. Both people were tortured, and they're tortured by white people or what they call slave drivers. So blacks again should really come together. The issue was oppression, and that they should come together as a group and not compare whose slavery was worse or better. The issue is who is oppressing you, who is enslaving you, and to come together and to overcome those who are oppressing you. Okay? We're fighting the wrong person. We're fighting ourselves and not the person who is oppressing you. Okay? So let's see what else here I wanted to talk about here. Yeah, so I talked about that. Yeah, I pretty much talked about all the issues that I wanted to discuss. Yeah, yeah. There was the town hall meeting with Trump. Um, I don't know how true it is, but they were what do you call it? Polls, and that they're showing the polls not favorable for Trump. A considerable amount of points he does not have. I'm wondering, this is by WNBC. Uh, WNBC is anti Trump. I don't know whether these polls are accurate or not because I've seen many of the Trump rallies, and they are packed, but you don't see any what do you call it, rallies with Biden. You know, he did something like in his home or something like that, but how could you? I mean, if someone can win by not going out and having a rally and you're just doing something in your own house, why would why would someone I mean, elect someone without meeting them and meeting your hometown? I wish Trump would come to New York. Trump is from New York, and you have some people who are pro-Trump. And there's a lot of black people that live in New York City, and he could answer many of their questions. Remember, Trump mentioned that he's gonna, I forget the term, but some type of program for blacks to address black issues. Shouldn't he have a rally and say, black people come and I will discuss the black program that I'm going to implement in my next 4 years? He should have this. I've never heard Trump say anything anti black against black Americans. Never. But someone did make an issue when he was at some meeting. I don't know whether it was at the UN, and someone didn't like that he called them a loser country or something like that. Um, Trump has always been brash, and he's brash with everybody. And again, he's been in New York for 40, over 40, he's born in New York. And he's always been brash. And I never heard a black American, a black New Yorker ever say anything against Trump. Never. I feel he should come visit New York, have a rally here, and promote his plan how he will improve the life of black folks in New York City. I think it would be a win-win for him if he does this, and black people will feel that wow, he came to visit. Biden didn't come to New York City, and Pamela Harris never came to New York City, and they supposed to be winning the polls. I don't know. It could be just propaganda. Not everything that the news people announce is true. But if the polls are true, it's very problematic, I think. And I feel that, see, something doesn't make sense. Biden doesn't look very well, so why did they put him in the seat? You have other people, you had other black people who wanted to run for president outside of Pamela Harris. Why weren't they considered? Why do they really want Biden to win? He was already vice president. Why can't they get another person? But I think it's a trick up their sleeve, and that they want, you had an Obama. Well, now they want to get another type of Obama in the form of Kamala Harris. And I think she's going to do a number. See, again, you're free to marry who you marry, but you start to wonder where your ties are if you're not married to someone from your own group. We have a white mayor who's married to a black American woman, but you never hear her in government. Never. And you never hear any policies or her speaking out in addressing the issue of homeless black men on the street. Why isn't she addressing that issue? And you are married to the mayor of New York. Why? Because maybe she is not about black people. But yet people might have voted for him because he's married to a black woman. See, now people are using the race card to win elections. Let me explain. Okay, how to explain this now? Now, okay, our mayor is a white man. Never heard of him before, but he's married to a black woman, and I'm speculating that that's what won him over in politics. And now also Pamela, I'm sorry, um, Owens, what's her name? I forget her name, but I mentioned her earlier, and she will be running for president in 2024. She implied, but her stance, she does not have a pro-black stance, and she recently married someone outside of her race. But people might see her, and so she get the vote for because she's a woman. She may get the vote because she's a black woman, and then again, she's married a rich person outside of her race who may be financing her, and so he can get some type of it just seems like a way of getting notice and getting popularity. Or some of the performers, actors, actresses, musicians, and they may pair up with someone from another group so they can get noticed and the notoriety. whether notoriety, whether it's positive or negative, still publicity, and you make money. And that seems to be the trend these days, to be as noticed as possible, and that oftentimes now includes um, pairing up with people of a different race. So that's basically all that I can think of right now. Anybody have any questions what I talked about? I know I mentioned a lot of things. I know a lot of people, some people may disagree, and it's okay to disagree. Again, these are just my thoughts, my opinions. Um, I care about my country. I care about what happens to us. I sense that things are being done, and they think we don't notice what's being done. I notice certain things and I don't like it. And I wanted to stop. I think it's very obvious about certain things. But I really want our country to stick together as a whole. I don't want any type of socialism or communism to occur in our country. I sense that they want Biden to get in the White House, and then they're going to boot him off and put in Pamela Harris as president. But it's really weird that when she wanted to run for presidency, they didn't support her. So now they put her in the vice president slot, and then they're going to put her um, with someone who's not doesn't seem very healthy. And suspect they're going to, if they win, they're going to kick him out and put her in, and she's going to implement socialist um, ideology, and I think that's going to be real problematic. I don't want her in. I don't trust her. But I don't know what I'll do. I love my country. I don't like a lot of things that I see that's happening. But I'm born and raised here. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Um, yeah, share this video with friends or family members that you think that would enjoy this. You can write your comments below in the chat room. And those of you like this channel and wish to support it, you can do so by PayPaling me. Go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the banner of my channel on the right hand side, you will see a PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompt, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. I thank you all in advance. Peace, love, and joy to you all. Yeah, thank you, Cam Cam. Thank you. Yes, peace, love, and joy. Um, it's not your imagination. You are seeing things happening, and what is happening is by design. All of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. Oh, really quick. I just also learned today that Pam- Pamela Harris had two people that worked under her, and they tested positive for COVID-19. And so she wasn't able to do um, what do you call it, a meeting or something. And so she's going to postpone that until next week. Wouldn't it be something? See, it's interesting. What was that, 2 weeks ago with Trump? The only people in the Republican Party, and they weren't, all of them weren't sitting together, but yet they got sick. You, it's a trick to their sleeve. Yeah. Yeah, it's a trick up their sleeves. But yes, but now you have Pamela Harris's team. Two of them tested positive for COVID. Wouldn't it be something if she gets COVID? Wouldn't that be something? This is really telling. You never know what's really going to happen. It can go anywhere this election. Anywhere. Biden can get the COVID. Kamala could get the COVID, you know? I mean, what goes around comes around, and it's really something. So, yes, I wish the best for this country. Uh, I'm born and raised here. I, I want to really continue to love my country. I want us all safe. I don't care what race you are. I care about us. I want us to all be a family. I want us all to be treated with respect and equal access. That's all I want. So, yes, I can't think of anything else, but thank you all for listening. I thank you. And yeah, tell your friends about my channel. And yeah, thank you so much. Peace, love, and joy. Bye bye.